I normally have at least an hour to talk, so I'm going to be talking really, really fast and going through a lot of stuff. So consider this kind of like a little sampler plate of the stuff that I teach about. Clicker is over here. Make sure I can do this. Okay, so I'm going to start. A little bit about my background, just because people are like, how did you end up doing this? I come from an engineering background. I used to design submarines for Lockheed. Didn't find that particularly fulfilling, so I moved to Italy for 7 years, studied all kinds of alternative healing modalities, connected dots between ancient healing modalities and modern science. Came back to the United States for studying Eastern medicine, had a healing practice working with cancer patients. 2007, just as a creative outlet, I started painting, and the paintings became the catalyst for having these conversations about the impact of color and light on our lives and our psyches. So people would have these strong responses to the individual colors in my paintings, and I would explain to them how they help bring us back into balance. And it was then 3 years of pestering people like, can you at least put some of that on your website if you're not going to write a book right away? So I put some on my website. As soon as I did that, I started getting contacted by major medical centers to come and lecture and teach about the science of healing color and light, and it's just grown from there, and lots of conferences. I started using YouTube as a platform. It kind of went way beyond from that, so I get a lot of speaking invitations and just been spreading the word like that. 10 years of pestering, I finally launched a light therapy product of my own just over a year ago, and we already have thousands of people all around the world using it just from word of mouth. So, and I'm gonna be focusing a lot on case studies here. I have lots more information on the internet, and you can come and ask me questions. We'll have a 10-minute Q&A. So anyway, let's get going. So normally I give you a little basic physics primer, but I'm going to just do a little mini summary. So color and light are synonymous. You can't have color without light to reflect on it. You can't have light without color within it. So, and the reason that we need these wavelengths is because we evolved to live and thrive under sunlight. So when we're avoiding sunlight, we're actually missing some key nutrients, like really vital, like food or water. So you can see here on the left, do I have a laser? Yes, I do. Here's a rainbow. And you can see that when there's a rainbow in the sky, this is pretty much the only time that you ever see all of the colors, the individual colors that split up and refract from the light that's always in sunlight. This is a spectrometer reading of what sunlight looks like in the middle of the day. So you see all of these colors that are always there, that anytime you go under sunlight, you're getting exposed to all of these healing wavelengths, including UV and infrared, which are invisible. So we also need additional healing energies. So sunlight alone in a city is not enough. You need to go out and get these healing energies in nature. So that's why when people finally get a vacation or force themselves to take a vacation, or they get so sick that they need to take a vacation, where do they want to go? They want to go to the beach, or they want to go in the mountains. So cities have a deficiency of this chi life force energy. They actually deplete your life force energy. So modern lifestyles, living in cities, living around Wi-Fi and EMF and all of that sort of thing, and not getting out and getting sunlight and being in nature, that's what is causing all of this disease, one of the many things, but which creates more stress in your life as well. So blue light, everybody's probably heard about blue light from your LED screens now, because when I first started teaching about it, it was brand new information. We need blue light during the day. So blue light is not as bad as the media wants you to believe, because now it's kind of gotten a bad rap. But we actually do need blue light for setting our circadian rhythm. And when you are exposed to blue light, which corresponds to a clear blue sky like this, it shuts off melatonin production. So it communicates with the pineal gland, and it tells your body it's the middle of the day, you need to be wide awake, so you don't go out in the field as a caveman and get eaten by your predator that sees you sleeping in the field. So we have these retinal ganglion cells that are attuned to these specific wavelengths, so it's a very important thing to get blue light during the day. You don't want to get it at night, because this will cause insomnia. As when tablets started getting popular, everybody started getting insomnia. So a lot of people deal with this. It's a really easy fix. You can avoid blue light at night. Red light will actually stimulate melatonin production through both the eyes and the skin. So how are color, light, and these life force energies absorbed by the body? So there are three different, well, more than three, but main three different ways photons of colored light enter through the eyes. So if you're looking at something or you're looking at an apple, all of these wavelengths get absorbed except for the red. That's then reflected off the apple. You can use specific targeted wavelengths of light for shining them into the eyes, like blue light. You can use these blue light devices for setting your circadian rhythm. Too much blue light can be harmful to the eyes, which is why your smartphones all say, when you turn up the brightness, that can hurt your eyes, don't turn it up too much. So red light sets your circadian rhythm when you use it at night. And red light can actually heal the eyes. So I'll be talking about, well, I don't have any case studies, specific ones that you can ask me about them, but I have dozens of case studies about healing the eyes. I'm going to be doing more visual stuff here today that you can actually see. So sunlight, you can also absorb these photons through the skin. As we have known for, thousands of years that people have been laying out and getting the sun, and it feels amazing. Anybody here who doesn't like being out under sunshine? One person, she's like, no, I'm a vampire. Okay, except for the vampire. Yeah, it feels amazing. I mean, especially when you've been indoors so much, and you're like, oh, sunshine. It's because it's really good for you. So there are actual long history of using just sunshine for healing all kinds of diseases. It's called heliotherapy. You can take isolated LEDs and shine them on the skin. So very common thing since the 1950s, using blue light for treating babies with jaundice. In the Q&A, if you want to know the exact mechanism, how that works, feel free to ask. Using red light for stimulating mitochondria, healing the skin, muscle, joints, brain, inducing sleep. That's a picture of my light device there. So in the energy part, now this is going to be, all the medical research organizations that have been inviting me lately have been like, yes, we want to know about the meridians. We want to know about the energy pathways in the body because this is such a disconnect from Western medicine. So because I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner, this is a sample, well, an example of one of the primary meridians that runs through the body. There are 12 primary meridians, 8 extraordinary vessels, and then a bunch of other secondary, tertiary pathways. So this is the bladder meridian, and you can see how it runs down, and it goes on either side of the spine. It's not just on one side, it's just showing one side here. So it's kind of like a power strip. It connects all of these different energy lines. So if you affect that meridian, I mean, you're affecting the entire body. This is an infrared image of taking moxa, which is a type of herb that's used in acupuncture, where you take the heat and you put it into specific acupuncture points. So you can actually put the heat and you can see that it goes down through the entire meridian. And this is part of the work of Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who is a biophysicist and the one who's the grandfather of biophotonics. So why do we need sunlight and other healing energies found in nature? Because we actually, we take in light. We're just like plants. We actually absorb light, we use it for cellular processes, cellular communication, and we give off light. So this has now been proven with, it's been known since the 1920s. Dr. Fritz Albert Popp proved it with a photomultiplier in 1972, and this is the most recent technology at the Kobayashi lab at Kyoto University that actually, it's a CCD, very sensitive camera that can actually photograph individual biophoton emissions. Bio meaning biological, photons meaning light, ultra-weak light emission. So all living things take in light, utilize light, give off light, not just plants. So this is your DNA, actually. So mitochondrial health. Again, I'm just skimming the surface of all of these. So red light and near-infrared stimulate mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cells. They stimulate it to create ATP production through the skin. And this is, again, important to note that it's not mid or far infrared. So if you hear about infrared saunas, those don't do any of this because they don't actually contain near infrared, which is what you need. They may contain a very tiny amount, and they get marketed to make people believe that they're actually doing that, but they're not. It's too small of a dosage. So red light and near infrared heal the skin. This is a really simplified explanation of it. The cytochrome C oxidase photoreceptors in the cells absorb the photons. It creates a cascade mechanism, stimulates ATP production in the cells. Again, don't have a lot of time to go into detail about that. Now, I'm just going to breeze through, because there are literally, you go on to PubMed, NCBI, there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, of published peer-reviewed medical research studies about photobiomodulation using wavelengths of light for eliciting healing effects in the body, skin, muscle. So I'm just going to give you a little sampler plate. So they, for skin regeneration, collagen boosting, and anti-aging, again, literally, I mean, you'll find dozens or hundreds in each of these categories published all around the world. Skin disorders, inflammation, infections, muscular inflammation and pain, muscle performance and recovery, joint pain and inflammation, broken bones, bone regeneration. This is kind of interesting because of red light actually interferes and stops and reverses UVA photoaging damage and prevents telomere shortening. If you know what telomeres are, they're the protective end caps on DNA. So the rate of telomere shortening determines your rate of aging. So it actually slows down that rate of telomere shortening. Treating autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis, cold sores and shingles. The way that it works for these kind of viral infections is because it stimulates the cellular immune response in the cells themselves to kind of beat back the virus. So I'm going to give you like a really small sampling of case studies in these categories, and I'm choosing these specifically because they have a strong visual impact, because I have hundreds of them all across the board, but these, pictures worth 1,000 words, that will save me 1,000 words for every photo you see. Okay, so 76-year-old female, this is Lois. She had 2 months of terrible, terrible shingles, like stabbing nerve pain constantly throughout the day. This is her before, when she came actually to get a light. She actually lives in Austin, so this was right after I launched. And she's like, can this help with the shingles? Because I've been dealing with this, it won't heal. And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. So she takes it and she does 6 treatments. This is just after 6 treatments. She had to go buy a selfie stick so she could take this picture for me. And so she treated 1 treatment the very first night on her back, and also healed the bursitis that she'd had in her right shoulder for 35 years. She woke up in the morning, she's like, she was so excited she actually called me. She's like, I can't believe I woke up this morning, I slept the whole night through. I can't remember the last time I slept the whole night through. I mean, it's been decades, literally. And she said, my 35-year bursitis is gone. And it didn't come back, it's like gone. And her knee pain, she was having to walk with a cane and get cortisone shots every 2 to 3 months, which were a $300 copay. Just that's in addition to her insurance that she had. So anyway, and it completely healed her knee pain. And then she ended up, and she's very active. She goes backpacking around the world. Anyway, I don't have time to talk more about that, but okay, here's a case of Sylvia. She's mid-30s. She had a terrible case of MRSA, and this is what they do for it. They, when your flesh starts rotting, they just carve it out of you. And she needed to get follow-up surgery, skin grafting surgery, but she didn't have medical insurance. So her aunt had a GoFundMe thing on, trying to raise money for it, and trying to raise $50,000, and they didn't raise enough. So she's like trying to heal this on her own. It's getting worse. You can see it's like the wounds are expanding. They're not getting any better. So she, on social media, everybody's like, get a REDjuvenator. You need to try this. It's amazing. So she ends up getting one. I tell her the treatment protocol to do. So here she's treating. This is what she posted a few weeks after. You can see the difference here already. And it's closing up the wounds. And this is less than 5 weeks later. So she didn't need any skin grafting surgery at all. And that was 20-minute treatments once a day. This is a strong visual because Todd, he was in Thailand, and he wasn't sure what happened. He was swimming in the ocean the day that they were leaving. They were going to get on the plane, and he didn't feel anything sting him, but he figured it was a jellyfish or something. So this is the day that they're leaving, and he starts seeing this rash showing up, so he takes a photo. This is 2 hours later. Now he's at home. This is right before he starts treating. It's turned into this terrible blister thing, really ugly. This is after 140, like immediately after 1 40-minute treatment. So the pus cleared, the wound healed, and it was completely gone, by the next day. This is 90-year-old female, Patricia. She fell on her arm and broke her humerus clean through. You can see the x-ray here. It's like a clean break all the way through, not a fracture. And so I had her doing 20-minute treatments. This is actually a patient. I don't usually see one-on-one patients. I made an exception for her. So she, I told her to treat 20 minutes a day, and this is her after 28 days. She was going every week and a half to get her x-rays, and her doctor at 4 weeks said, the bone is set, you can take it out of the sling. And if you know anything about how long it normally takes a bone to set, it's like 6 to 12 weeks in a young, healthy person, and that's even for a foot bone. So for a 90-year-old whose bones typically don't ever set or heal, that's really phenomenal. And it was fully healed in 42 days. So here we're doing some lifting exercises. This is Oscar, an elderly dog, one of my customers who ordered the light specifically for him because he was out running around in the yard one day. He had already been having degenerated hips, so he had a really hard time getting up, as happens with elderly dogs often, and he couldn't get up easily, but he could, once he'd be up, he could waddle around. And one day he just fell over in the yard screaming and yelping, and she rushes him to the vet, and he tore his ACL, which is the ligament in the knee, and he couldn't walk or put any weight on it, and the vet said, well, the only thing we can do is surgery, but it's really not gonna help because his hips are so degenerated. So basically the vet was saying, your dog's crippled for the rest of its life. What do you do in that case? It's like you usually put them down, right? So she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna find another solution. She contacted me. She started treating him with the light. That was here at the very beginning. This is 3.5 weeks later. Now he can get up easily, no more limping. And this was she was doing religiously. I told her do twice a day for even faster results, 20 to 40 minutes twice a day. And then, so this is at 3.5 weeks. At 4 weeks, let's see, will this go? Yeah.
Oscar, come here. Sit.
So full mobility, full range of motion. I have another dog who's a greyhound, even more extreme. I don't have a video though. Oscar's video is really cute. So no surgery, no other medical intervention. That was 4 weeks. So systemic treatments, you can, using the REDjuvenator is actually treating at the systemic level because the light is going through the meridian system as well as directly. Animals have the same meridian pathways that humans do. Here I'm doing a treatment. Actually, my cat got severe food poisoning, so treated her in 45 minutes. She went from being like I thought she was dying and dead to completely recovered and eating and drinking, like eating out of her food bowl. This is another customer's cat. Terrible, like systemic post teeth cleaning anesthesia. You know, it takes at least 24 hours to clear from their system, if not longer. He went by himself. We have dozens of photos of my customers' pets because they go and get their own light therapy treatment on their own. Anyway, but 30 minutes and he's like fully recovered. So he did a spontaneous treatment on his own. She had set that up to do the light on her leg because she was treating her leg and went to make a cup of tea and she came back and the cat was like, it's my turn. So lots more, I have tons more case studies, skin, muscle, bone, systemic, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, scars, wrinkles, hyperpigmentation, severe sunburn, acute back spasm, chronic and acute pain, muscle boosting, delayed onset muscle soreness for athletes, lots of athletes using it, bursitis and arthritis, torn meniscus and other joint injuries, Lyme disease, black mold toxicity, hypothyroidism. There's more besides that. That's just a sampling again. So now I'm going to just talk a little bit about brain applications, brain, eyes, and sleep. And so it induces deep sleep. You put it on your chest at night. So this was a thing that we discovered accidentally. And then I found research explaining why it was working that way. Cumulative benefits of getting better sleep. So I have tons of people that are using it specifically as a sleep hack. So it's like you go to sleep right away, you have much deeper sleep, you wake up more wide awake and refreshed. A lot of people sleep fewer hours because you have turbo sleep. So a lot of athletes using it for improved performance, improved brain function. I mean, the ramifications of poor sleep with Alzheimer's, brain function in general, I mean, the direct correlation, I normally would be able to talk about that a little bit more. Jet lag recovery in a single treatment. So tons of my customers fly around the world with them. You don't get jet lag at all. This is one of my customers. She's very good about sending photos. She uses it for, she has 2 clinics, Dr. Mary Van Hoy, and she has a clinic in Seattle and then one on East Coast time. So she's back and forth constantly, bouncing back and forth. She doesn't get any jet lag. She gets up and hits around running in the morning. She's a good case because she's doing it constantly. And normally even 3 hours time difference is huge. I mean, for affecting your productivity and performance. She's a traumatic brain injury specialist, so she actually uses it with all of her traumatic brain injury patients. And I like using the examples because I have so many medical doctors, so the ones that, like chiropractors that are healing their own back using it, or Mary who abraded her eye, like severe eye abrasion, did 2 treatments, and by the next day it was completely healed instead of having to deal with this discomfort for who knows how many days. Lots of other case studies for eyes, reversing age-related macular degeneration, retinal disease, reducing floaters and flashing, reducing glaucoma scores. These are all like real-world case studies. Brighter, clearer vision, tons of people like that. Stronger vision, reduced prescriptions, reduced bright light sensitivity, healing chronic migraines in like as few as 4 to 5 days. And lots of published research studies also about brain applications, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, experimentally induced stroke, optic nerve injury, age-related macular degeneration, retinal disease, neuropathy, nerve regeneration, paralysis, traumatic brain injury, brain trauma, lots of studies, and many more case studies for the REDjuvenator, in particular, traumatic brain injury, brain toxicity, Alzheimer's and dementia, brain glioma, neuropathy, stress and anxiety, cognitive function. Okay, so did I do that all in 20 minutes? Did I? Because
Here we go.
okay, so now we have time for questions. If you could absorb any of that. Normally, like I said, I'm not quite so fast.
I want to buy one.
You have a
Now we need to make that in an app.
in an app?
In
an
an
app.
app. All the app people here.
Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah. I mean, there are things that you would be able to do with color. I mean, because I also teach about the healing effects just of looking at specific colors and the psychological effects. So yeah, there's so much more that, but yeah, it could definitely be used in an app. Not the light therapy aspect. You'd need to have the right wavelengths and that sort of thing and be able to, go ahead.
What have you found are the contraindications for the red light near infrared therapy?
If you're using infrared, mid and far infrared, there are lots of contraindications because it's putting too much heat directly into the body. So far, there are none. Research hasn't discovered any for red or near infrared. I haven't had any reports. There are no contraindications. I've got pregnant women using it. I've got people that are using, have hip, knee implant, things like that.
Why are there no examples of it being used to treat cancer?
I have those as well. I don't have any visuals, and I only have 3 people so far. So I have one guy that reversed, he had stage 4 prostate cancer, complete reversal of that, so he's in complete remission. A woman that had lung cancer and the mets through her whole body, that is one case. I mean, and then she went and she's like completely clear, everything was non-cancerous, and...
But how do you suppose that works, though, if the hypothesis is that the light is stimulating cell growth?
Because what my light is doing in particular, it's not stimulating the cancer to grow, it's healing the body. So if you know, all of the latest cancer research, or the most cutting edge stuff, is about stimulating the natural immune response of the body to fight the cancer naturally. Because every single one of us has cancer, or we're getting cancer cells. I mean, it's a natural part of, living as a human being. You have cancer cells that are growing in your body. A healthy body immediately kills those before it turns into a tumor. So when your body is not able to get rid of the cancer cell and it can proliferate and turn into a tumor, that's a problem. So if you boost the immune function of the body to kill the cancer naturally the way that it's supposed to do, then it all takes care of itself. So does that make sense? No, what we're finding is no, it's not. And I went, for things like that I put in the list here, I've got at least 5 or 6 case studies, except the Alzheimer's, I only have 1 so far, but that's pretty profound because they're actually seeing reversal, like the progression of Alzheimer's completely stopped as soon as they started treating their mother, and then now they're seeing reversal. where she's able to have conversations and different speech patterns and things like that. So again, and a guy that, with severe toxicity in his brain had gone through the blood-brain barrier. He's an attorney. He couldn't work. He couldn't function. 2 treatments. And he had tried a bunch of other light therapy devices, including the ones that you stick up your nose that are specifically designed for treating the brain. He's like, no, he spent thousands and thousands of dollars. None of them were helping. 2 treatments with the REDjuvenator. And he's like, my brain is like it was 5 years ago before all this started. So, yeah. It's what it's doing is it's stimulating the energy body, as I was talking about, bringing that life force energy back in addition to the light therapy stimulating at a cellular mitochondrial level. There's more that the mitochondria aspect is just what medical research knows is working. I mean, there are other aspects as well that you have to go into the biophysics and biophotonics aspects of how the light is traveling through the body and what it's actually doing to restore proper function to not just the cells, but the entire energy system. Does that make sense?
I noticed that the dosage was, the highest dosage that you showed was 40 minutes twice a day. How high?
For the
can you go?
dog, yes.
Yeah, how high can you go in a human being?
Oh, you can go, there's people, I have customers that when they first get their light, because they're so depleted, it's like they feel like they're running on fumes. I mean, people when they get sick and they can't, even minor stuff, like I'm in pain all the time. So they'll do like 2 hours a day I've had people almost verbatim, it's like, is it natural to feel addicted to my REDjuvenator? Because like it just feels so amazing and it's restoring that depleted life force energy. So it's like, as long as you're letting it ventilate, because if people are doing a back treatment and then it's covered on the front and the back, then it's like, then it'll warm up. It won't ever get that hot, but it will be like, it'll get warm, like you might start sweating because it's like having a heating pad against you. So then I'm like, here, put it, like take it out from behind your back, unplug it for a few minutes, let it cool down. But then, so there's no, you can't overdose on it. You can't, it's not like laser light. Laser light, you don't ever want to use, it's not as effective as non-coherent light. The reason that laser light is not as, the body's not as receptive to it because again, we evolved to live and thrive under non-coherent light. Non-coherent means all the wavelengths are out of sync with each other from sunlight. Laser light is taking light and then they're all in sync with each other, so it has a much stronger effect. They actually, add up together. So the body is not designed to take in coherent light. It will take in non-coherent light and turn it into coherent light in the body. Harvard has actually done a study where they, was it kidney cells, I believe, or liver cells that they turned into a living laser. But anyway, did that answer your question?
Yes, and do you have to cover up the eyes at all?
Not with this. I have one formulation that has blue light in it, and you do. But this one, we have, like I said, all these things. This was people like spontaneously as they're doing their facial treatments for their anti-aging, and they're like, I just feel like I want to keep my eyes open. And research shows that red and near-infrared won't harm the eyes, and there is published research for healing age-related macular degeneration and stuff. So I always tell people, if it feels bright to you, cover your eyes, but it's not going to harm you. So a lot of my customers started intuitively, I want to keep my eyes open. So they started treating with their eyes open, not even all the time, just sometimes. And those benefits, like reduced bright light sensitivity, getting rid of migraines, reduced glaucoma scores. That was in a 76-year-old floater, like a lot of elderly people that have said, my floaters are gone. My eye flashing is gone, which is a sign of like your retina might be detaching if your eyes are flashing like that. So reversing retinal thinning, age-related macular degeneration, so all of that. So, and that was, again, so now that it's like so many people, again, I have a community on Facebook that's a private members-only community that I connect all of these people all around the world that are using my device, and it's an ongoing support and healing community, so they get, it's like, hey, can I use it for treating this? And I'm like, yeah, give it a try, and also treat here, because I give them also systemic treatment protocols. So like if they have hip pain, it's like the problem isn't in your hip, it's probably in your gallbladder meridian, which is why there's a blockage in the energy flow. So you can treat your upper back, for example, for opening up the gallbladder energy channel and systemic detoxification. So yeah, it's healing the whole body. And that's where people have like increased energy levels within. I've had people that have emailed me, it's like, I didn't even realize that I had so much anxiety in my life until like now I've been using this for 5 days and I don't have anxiety anymore. Because when you have that sharp of a contrast and you don't realize that you're like, this low level buzz constantly, and all of a sudden it's gone and you're like, this is how I'm supposed to feel, you know? And it's remarkable to them. So this is where all this stuff gets shared right in the community so everybody can see, and they're like, oh, I didn't know I could treat bursitis. I didn't know I could treat, you know, all of these things. I didn't know I could treat my eyes, my brain. So that's, everybody's getting all these ideas from everybody else. Oh, go
I had a
ahead.
question for you.
Yep.
So one of the examples you showed was the open wounds that were
The
treated with
MRSA,
your
yeah.
light. So typically, you know, an health organization might have prescribed a hyperbolic chamber treatment for something like that.
Right.
So I'm interested, as you are continuing to develop and look at these different products, and the holistic concept of integrative medicine here, we're going to be challenged by getting those the healthcare providers to think of these things in a new way, in a new acceptance. But there's also the investment that the organization has made in that technology to make sure that they're getting a return on investment. And you found a simple application that may not necessitate that particular treatment. So I wonder, I'm just wondering about the challenge that you face there and how others might consider how they might adapt their technology or their approach to convince providers to come along from that standpoint.
Okay, first of all, I literally don't ever try to convince anybody of anything. All of the thousands of people around the world that I launched 15 months ago, it's all word of mouth. So I have a product, it's like, if you want to buy it, here it is. So I have all these medical practitioners that are coming to me because they're hearing about it. I get people that are emailing me, my neurologist prescribed REDjuvenator Therapy, which formula should I get? I mean, I'm literally getting, that's the verbiage they're using. So I have a lot of medical practitioners that are hearing about it and they're trying it, and then they're using it with all their patients. That Mary's just one example, I have a ton of them. And then some of them are like, here, take it home, borrow it for a week, and then come back, you know, so you don't have to keep coming in. So, but it's super affordable. I wanted it to be, I made it for lay people. I didn't even make it for the medical community. I made it for lay people so that they can afford, everybody can afford to have at least one. It's $599 for the 1 or 2 formulations, $649 for the number 3, and it lasts for years. So like, and I've had people that are like, oh, you know, $600 is a lot of money for me. But then as soon as they get it, it's like, they buy another one because it's like, my husband and I are competing for it all the time. We didn't think we could afford the first one. Now we know we can't afford to not have one because it helps with so many things. So when your medical bills are going down across the board because you're healing all this stuff on your own, you're not needing all these practitioner appointments, it's like, it's making you money in the process. So, and that was part of my entire thing. It's like, to shift the way of people thinking about color and light and sunlight. Sunlight was always here, get more sunlight. It's free. It's, you know, like as long as you go and get sunlight and get those healing energies in nature, your health is going to improve on its own. When people get so out of balance, it's like, and you're living in cities, you're just constantly having that drained from you. So it's like an ongoing, like I said, I have people that like, even after a year from when I launched, they're still using it every day. Because it's like their battery recharge pack. It's like how you recharge your cell phone every night. That's how they're using it.